For the past few years, I've been saying I really wish that Rolex did an homage line to their older watches. Not because I don't like Rolex's new watches, but I do quite enjoy their vintage line of watches as well. However, their huge price hikes have made them rather unattainable. But today we'll be talking about the most obvious thing in the world that I just realized now that's fantastic news for all of us. What is up, Watch fam? My name is Michael. This video is sponsored by MD Hair, mostly because I'm balding. Sponsor was chatting to us and they were like, make sure you show off your hair loss, Michael. And I was like, okay. So anyways, more on them later. Today we are talking about Tudor. Something I realized pretty late. I feel like I'm a late bloomer in many respects, and this is one of them. Something that I realized, and really a bunch of things. One, Rolex has surpassed a lifelong feud, or almost lifelong, with another brand, and kind of gave Tudor that role. But also, Tudor filled in my wish list, and I didn't even really realize it until the Tudor Black Bay 54 was released. And I think the path that Tudor is on is kind of my dream. But I don't think we're there yet. I'll tell you what I think is going to push us there, but some amazing stuff going on. Anyways, I was recently watching a review of the Black Bay 54. Shout out to Britt Pierce. I hope you are feeling better. Thank you for releasing some amazing content. Tudor has been around for a very long time, and it started off with Hans Wilsdorf saying, basically, we need a budget version of Rolex. You know the story. Let's use the Rolex cases, crowns, everything except the movement on the inside. We'll use an off-the-rack movement, but other than that, you're getting a Rolex quality for less price. Tudor has kind of been faithful to that for a very long time, although they didn't obviously use Rolex stamped cases or anything. That kind of went out the door. But if we fast forward to the Black Bay, Tudor is being more Tudor again, and they had their first model that knocked it out of the park, the Black Bay, and then obviously they had a million other Black Bays. But honestly, I feel like the big earth-shattering one was the Black Bay 58, because all of a sudden everybody was like, you've made it a little bit smaller, have you? I love it. And they also obviously went from an ETA movement to in-house to chronometer certified movements. And now they're going METAS certified movements, which is very interesting. And I know what you're thinking, because you're probably thinking exactly what I was thinking. Unless you are a movement snob, then you already knew this. But you're thinking METAS is better than just a COSC certification. So does that mean the movements inside of Tudor are better than Rolex? I thought that too. I did some research. No. This video is sponsored by MD Hair. You probably thought you'd never hear me say this, but AI has come to the rescue for my receding temples. MD Hair is the world's first medical grade hair regrowth treatment customized to the exact cause and type of hair loss. And this uses AI, like I said, which is crazy. A robot was looking at my scalp and thinking, he might need a little bit of aloe. The website uses a quiz and a scalp picture analysis, as I said, to customize each kit. And on top of that, you get 24/7 dermatologist support. I started balding probably in high school, and then in college, someone said to me, Michael, wow, I could see the crown of your head when you're sitting at the lunch table. And then I had a meltdown for like 3 years. But now you don't have to be like 18-year-old Michael, because MD Hair has you covered. All you have to do is go to mdhair.co and take their quiz. And then, like I said, they have you take a picture of your scalp, upload it online. The AI looks at it and says, beep, boop, beep, Michael, you were balding. This is what I would suggest for you. So you should see a reduction in hair shedding in 4 to 6 weeks, and you should see an improvement to hair growth in 3 to 4 months. So if that sounds like something you're interested in and you want a customized hair regrowth routine, you can use our code TH70 to get 70% off your first month's order. But what's interesting is that is a big sign of what I feel like Rolex is moving to, and what Rolex has been doing for a while, but really what they're moving to in the public eye, being like, yes, we can make movements and send them to get COSC certified. We could also make movements and get them METAS certified. Maybe these movements are even METAS certified with the Parachrome hairspray and stuff like that. But Rolex is essentially saying, well, we're not in that race anymore. We make sure everything is perfect in-house. We are 0 to plus or minus 2 seconds a day. In-house, guaranteed from us. They're also COSC certified, but we take care of that. We really get it COSC certified so we can print that little line on the dial. And maybe that was honestly very obvious to a lot of people, but to me, I was like, oh, how fascinating. I guess by getting that certified, you are entering into a race with other brands. But if you're like, no, ours still do that. Like, it's not certified by this other company, but that's what it does. It's certified by Rolex, by the watch that you're buying. So here you go. that kind of takes you out of the race and puts you in a league of your own. Fast forward, though, to Tudor, obviously, which is a sister brand to Rolex, so those two brands are talking to each other and all that fun stuff. Tudor is going METAS certified. And what's interesting is, all of a sudden, now, if you're shopping for a watch and you're looking for a dive watch, for example, you say, well, okay, Tudor and Omega, they both have the same certification on their movements, so they're basically the same, but Rolex has something different. Let me read about Rolex. Oh, okay, they have the parachrome hairspring and this and that, so they're in a different league, but now Omega and Tudor are the same, so I guess I'll go with this brand. Which is honestly insane when you look at Omega's prices versus Tudor's prices. Obviously, there are some differences, like we're talking finishing, we're talking design, we're talking a ceramic bezel versus an aluminum bezel. There's a lot of differences between Omega and Tudor, of course, but when you get on a movement level, all of a sudden, things are looking interesting, especially considering like the Black Bay 54, which is where I think the rest of the Black Bay line is gonna go, is trending down. It's getting thinner. Obviously, they won't all move down in size. But if you have a bunch of very, very thin watches that go back to the 50s era of design, look beautiful, and have the same inners as Omega, all of a sudden it's Tudor and Omega, and Rolex is in its different league. To wrap that conversation up, now in this big race, I feel like this certification race is between Omega and Tudor, and I don't think Rolex would ever really go and try and get their watches METAS certified, because all of a sudden, this superlative chronometer marking that Rolex has on their own watches seems inferior, when in fact it's not. They're just rebranding or changing the label. So I think that is Rolex's big divergent. If Omega and Tudor are here, Rolex is going in its own path now. And Rolex kind of took their brother or sister or whatever, Tudor, and put them in front of the front lines to defend the name, while Rolex goes and takes a walk far, far ahead of everybody else. And then tying all of that together, I'm doing a big circle on this desk. I don't know if you can see it. What's really crazy is that with that same mindset, Rolex can't reach back to their archives and say, we're going to release the original sub-design from 1954, because Rolex is not in the game of reaching back. Rolex is in the game of incremental upgrades. We're changing a case material, we're changing the shape slightly. People are putting the Daytona and the new Daytona side by side and being like, can you spot the differences? That's the incremental changes that Rolex does, and they'll never reach back, because reaching back says, well, our new models aren't as beautiful as our old models, or like some people don't like the new models, and that's no good for Rolex, which is the modern day, every man wants to get in Rolex to achieve kind of thought around the brand. But Tudor, on the other hand, again, part of Rolex, they're all shaking hands, can reach back. And since Tudor used Rolex's cases, they can just reintroduce their old designs that is still technically a Tudor design. So you can get that heritage line of Rolex watches with a very, very robust movement at a lower price. And it's the best thing that you could possibly ever get. Well, not the best thing you possibly ever. It's just such a brilliant, full marketing campaign. And if we look at these two brands under the Rolex umbrella, it's just, at least to me, Rolex just playing 3D chess when everybody else is starting to learn how to play checkers. And it's insane. So anyways, that's the point of this video. I didn't realize that Rolex literally was already introducing a heritage line of their watches. They're just calling it Tudor, which is unbelievable. Tudor's doing a fantastic job. Obviously, Rolex is doing a fantastic job. Omega is, there's you know, competition is fun in the watch world, but I don't know what they're going to do next. If I had to predict what they're going to do next, and the reason that I decided to hold off on purchasing a Tudor Black Bay 54 is, again, shout out to Brit, which she said in this video too, the Black Bay 54 was obviously released in 1954. Next year is 2024. Tudor will probably do an anniversary release and release this watch in a bunch of different colors, which I'm hoping they do, because I would love to pick up like a red one or something like that. But either way, I think that's incredibly exciting. The only request that I would have for Tudor is that they bring back some form of the big rose, whether it be on their OP or day date or date day or date just collection or something like that. Their alternative to those. If they bring back the big rose, that's game over, because I love the big rose. But anyways, that is it. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you all very, very soon. Be sure to check out the Theo and Harris watch shop when you have a moment. Christian always stocks that place with some banger watches, both Tudor, Rolex, Omega, Cartier, anything your little heart desires.